Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining on a Friday evening. I see there's a lot of you in here, and it is 6:30, so it's a good time for us to start. I see somebody's fan in the view, but there's a whole lot of you. So thanks for joining. By the way, before we get started, I think just a quick warm up and a round of introductions. You can see my colleague Zenobia or at least she's on my top right-hand corner right there. She's going to run this with me, but it's not just Zenobia and myself. There's Aditya, there's Tanvi, Soumya, Ved. Folks, do you want to just turn on your camera so people can see you? There's Davneet, Pooja, Harmeet, and a whole bunch of other people who are actually helping me run this session, helping us run this session. So it's a team effort. So, and also I'm saying, if this session crashes and burns, you know who to blame. It's not just Zenobia and me, right? We are also going to be pushing the limits of collaborative tools today. So we're going to be pushing the limits of Zoom because I know a lot of you accepted, but hopefully Zoom should hold steady. But we are going to be using a collaboration tool called Mural. And I've had varying answers on how many concurrent participants Mural can handle at a time. So today we'll see what the limit is, and maybe we can give Mural some feedback and tell them how much their limit really is. So you folks, just as being audience, are also our very fun guinea pigs. I know that's not a great connotation to make, but that's the word that came to my mind right now. So I'm going to actually close the room in about 4 minutes, as I promised. Not because I'm mean or anything like that, but because we would have gotten some ways down this workshop, and it'll be good to go with a finite group from then. I know some of you might say, "Oh, this is not worth my time," and you might want to drop off, and that's perfectly fine. Feel free to drop off whenever you need to. That's okay. All right, but be ready to get your hands dirty because this is a workshop. This is where you'll try being in a facilitated conversation and see how modern tools can make it even better than how it could have been when we were face to face. Okay, with that said, quick checks. I'm hoping that everyone signed up on Mural. If you haven't, then please take the next couple of minutes to sign up on Mural. We will actually need to get our hands dirty. You can already see that I'm on this screen, which is on Mural, and all of you will at some point need to collaborate on this, okay? So it shouldn't take you more than a minute. You could do this while listening to me. I know all of you are used to doing 100 other things while you're on video conference, so please apply those skills today. And I think we can get started with that. Cool. So I'm going to reveal a few sections of this mural before we get started. And let's first review the agenda. Zenobia, do you want to share the link for this mural with everyone, just so that everyone can get into it and start collaborating right away?
Sure. Folks, do take a look at your Zoom chats. I've just shared the link to the mural.
Perfect. Okay. Wow, this is a full house, 62 participants. All right. We will really push this to the limit. Okay, so just a quick check on what we're trying to cover today. 4 things, essentially, at least that's what we planned, and we're willing to expand that scope if necessary. So we want to show you what it means to facilitate in an online context. And with that comes some superpowers. Now, these are superpowers somehow mapped to the superpowers you carry as a facilitator in a face-to-face environment. And we'd like to familiarize you with those. So if you go around shopping for a tool, look for those superpowers because those are going to be absolutely necessary if you're leading any kind of decision-making in an online environment. The second thing that we'd like to kind of familiarize you with, and you will see a bit of this in the way we've got this program structured, is how you organize your space and your outputs. When we facilitate online, we facilitate, offline, we facilitate in a room, and that's got a wall, and we oftentimes put things on a wall or on a whiteboard or on a screen. How would that be in an online environment? There is some stuff around consolidating and showcasing, and some stuff that you might not have thought about, and because we thought about the session, thought about it. So that's our agenda for today. I see a lot of familiar faces. Thanks everyone for coming. We're just getting warmed up. here's a time for you to click that link that Zenobia threw into the chat and start to put in what else you might want to learn. And the place where you can put it in is here. You can see my screen and my big cursor. And for you to just drop in your comments about other things that you'd like to learn, just double click and you should be able to add a sticky right there. And I see somebody's already adding a sticky, so go for it, yeah? I'll give it a minute on this clock for you to add anything that you would like to learn, and then we can get our program underway. And in the meantime, I will lock this room. Hey, Aaron, Zenobia pasted a link. I'm going to paste that in again. There you go. You've got 2 of those links. So if you just tap that link, and then I will summon everyone. So you can start adding stickies and put in stickies around what you want to learn today. Okay.
Time up.
That's time up. So people want to learn about, what skills do you need when you're facilitating for the first time? There's stuff around tools and the skills required for facilitating. How do we bring in a high level of engagement? How do we compensate for not being able to read body language? Common, maybe somebody didn't type what they wanted to type. Online and offline effective facilitating, common issues and problems. Somebody says this is cool. Yes, it is indeed cool. Has the all remote culture helped or harmed working across time zones? I don't know if you're going to be able to address that, but we'll see. And there's a bunch of other things coming in, how to manage your remote teams, probably out of scope for this particular workshop. We'll see if we can address that later and if some conversations bring that up. Okay, cool. So let's move on. You can keep adding in that section. You don't have to stop adding stuff there. I'll keep moving. Let's do a little bit of a warm up. So one of the things that we talk about when it comes to facilitating online is that people are not necessarily always familiar with the tools. And here we're using 2 tools. We're using Zoom and we're using Mural. Those don't have to be the only tools, but it'll be great if all of us are familiar with how to use these tools. So the Energizer that we'll do is almost a contrivance to get to know the tool better. So what we're going to do is try to get to know Zoom's nonverbal feedback. And we'll try to do that with a game of Simon Says. Those of you who are from Maharashtra will remember this as a game called Shivaji Manto, and I'm pretty sure every culture has a version of this game. Basically, it's young children playing this, right? So Shivaji Manto or Simon Says, touch your nose, or block your nose, or hold your ears, or jump up and down. So whatever I say, you do. But the way you do it is, if you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see this participants panel, which I've got highlighted. If you click that, it'll reveal a whole bunch of controls, which you see up here. And out there, you'll be able to do the things that I'm asking you to do. So let's start and see how well you can understand. So Simon says, give me a thumbs up on the participants panel. Gurvinder's given me a thumbs up from the bottom of Zoom's reactions. With Gurvinder, go to the participants panel and give me a thumbs up. I see a number of you have found this. This game's going to move fast. So now it's the next challenge. SK, you are still doing it using the reactions. Go to the panel, okay? All right, let's go. Simon says, say yes. Wonderful. Some of you are getting the hang of this. Brilliant. All right, Simon says, say no. Sweet. Aaron, yeah, well done. Well done, all of you. Simon says, ask for coffee. Can you find that? That's got to be a challenge. All right, wonderful, folks. Now this is going to come in, the next one's going to come in really handy. If you want to ask us a question, that's how we know you need to get our attention. So Simon says, raise your hand. Oh, wow, you're fast. Well, wonderful. Excellent. All right, I tend to speak really fast. So Simon says, tell Sumeet to speak slower. And Simon says, tell Sumeet to speak faster. All right, Simon says, clear all of your actions. Sweet. Gurvinder's raised his hand. I'm guessing, Gurvinder, you're just practicing. So I'll leave it right there. And now I want to try something else, okay? So Zenobia is going to give you a fresh new challenge. Zenobia, you want to take it away from there?
Sure. Sumeet, would you like to go onto the screen to just help?
You want me to paste the screen in, right?
All right, so while Sumit does that, folks, at the very top of your Zoom share, you would see View Sumit Moge screen and a View Options drop down. If you hit on that drop down there is an Annotate option that you see. Right? Folks with me till now?
Yeah.
Give us a yes if you're with us. Give us.
All right, so I'm going to ask you to annotate something like we played Simon Says, all right? So let's get on to this. So draw me a circle.
Lovely.
Can you clear this up now? Lovely. Can you just scribble on my screen? Just anything. Super, this is fun.
All
right.
I'm going to clear that.
Wow.
How about everyone writes their name on the screen?
Sure. Super.
Well done.
Can we clear this? Wow, so many names there. Lovely.
Okie dokie.
All right.
Did I clear all the drawings, Zenobia?
Yes,
My
please.
screen looks really messy now.
Thank you. Thank you, folks. I hope this was as much fun as it was for us as for you.
Okay, so what you saw there was a technique that we call warming up and onboarding. We tried our best to onboard you to Zoom as a video conferencing platform, and now you know how you need to get our attention, just in case you want us to answer a question or something like that. Soumya, I see you're raising your hand. Is there something you wanted to say?
No, that's just, it was the earlier one, sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to clear everyone's actions there, nonverbal feedback. I'm going to clear everyone's drawings now. I'm going to disable annotations for a bit, and we can move on.
So just before you move on, Sumit, in case folks there's any question that you specifically have, do post it up on the chat. We'll be regularly monitoring it and trying to answer most of your questions.
Ooh. Thanks for that. So let's move on. By the way, a quick note. There are some things you will learn through practice. There are some things that we will be able to teach you just based on experience. And then there are some things you will learn from modeling. That's just by noticing stuff that Zenobia, my other colleagues, and I do. And remember, this is 90 minutes to introduce to you what might well be a lifelong skill. So we can't obviously introduce everything to you, but hopefully you will get a flavor of what online facilitation looks like. Okay, so let's keep going. Now that we've got this out of the way, let me try to explain essentially what the focus of this workshop is. So we talked about the agenda, but if you look at our job as facilitators, and I know a number of you come from varying fields. Some of you are in HR, some of you are in marketing, some of you are business analysts, product designers, experience designers, and founders, right? But if you're in that facilitation role, what you're trying to do is drive clarity, okay? When I say drive clarity, what I mean is that multiple people come with multiple mental models into a meeting room, either for a single meeting or for a workshop. And as a facilitator, you're trying to get them to a shared understanding. which is what you see in the image there. People might come up with different ideas. You make them big and visible. And once you make them big and visible, people understand what the differences are. And then you can take those differences and combine them into something beautiful, something new. That's the idea of facilitation. And that's what's the current philosophy that we're going to be espousing through this particular workshop, which is that of visual facilitation. Now, this is not new. There's a lot of gospels out there that preach this already. So there's game storming, innovation games, sprint, which actually talks about how you can, validate or invalidate a hypothesis within 5 days. Use the story mapping, lean and inception. There's a lot of these books that you probably have already read as practitioners or should read if the concept of visual facilitation isn't familiar to you. But what I'm trying to say is that it's not new. It's been around for a long time. But if you had to look at the whole facilitation journey, then the facilitation journey goes like this. And regardless of whether you're using this to teach somebody something or whether you're using this to drive decisions and then an eventual outcome, it goes from a planning phase where you're thinking about an agenda, who's going to be in the meeting, to the point that you actually figure out how the participants' experience in that whole decision-making journey is going to be, how they're going to collaborate with each other. Then you get into the collaboration exercise itself, and then there is some amount of synthesis as a result of the collaboration exercise, and eventually you would like to present it and share it with people. And hopefully we can take you down this journey in the next 1 hour and 15 minutes that we have on hand. In the context of this whole facilitation journey, I wanted to introduce to you the concept of facilitation superpowers. And these won't be unfamiliar to you because you've probably seen these already. I'm hoping that everyone's following me on Zoom and looking at my screen on Zoom. But if you're not following me on Zoom and you're already on the mural, I see 53 of you are on the mural, great stuff. Then there are a bunch of superpowers you have with you in the real world. You have the ability to structure an experience for a certain group of people. You do that by creating an agenda, putting a room full of flip charts or whiteboards or setting that up in advance. That's some amount of structuring that you do. Then there is some superpower that you have around finding a visualization technique. So you might use Post-its, or you might just use a marker to draw, or you might be a visual facilitator and you're very good at drawing up images to kind of solidify the discussion that is happening. Then, of course, because you're in that facilitation role, there is some assumed authority, which allows you to do timekeeping, and you employ some kinds of mechanisms to do decision making, right? And finally, you are able to take people's attention from one part of your room and say, okay, let's look at this chart and decide what we want to do here, or let's look at this presentation and decide what we want to do here. That's what you do with directing. These are facilitation superpowers that you have in the real world. The question is, how will you map these in the virtual world or in the online world? And that's something we'll explore in the next couple of minutes. But I know that Advitya has raised his hand. Hey, Advitya, is there something that I can answer for you right now? All right, I'll lower your hand then. So let's move on. We're going to do a little bit of an activity. And I'm going to summon everyone so that you see exactly what I'm seeing on the mural. This is when you're going to have to get on the mural itself. And you'll probably have to participate with us. There are a few questions I'd like to explore with you, and we'll take a minute each to explore these. So first, let's explore this question, which is, how do you keep a group or a meeting going on time? I'm going to summon all of you so that you see everything that I'm seeing, and I'll put 1 minute on the clock. And you can use the stickies up here, or you can double click to add a sticky of your own. Feel free to put in points about how you would keep a group or a meeting on time. Okay, so lots of points. I see folks are talking about using an agenda, reminders, get a leader, visual cues, having a timer, agenda, yes, setting a time for each session. I see stuff around constant reminders and notifications, keeping the agenda relevant. Great stuff. Incentivizing the group, hopefully to stay on time. Ice cream meter, yeah, of course. Check everyone's availability and then block the calendar. Okay, cool. So yes, you're all right. And in this world, at least the world that we are going to be facilitating in, one of the things that you can do is keep time using a visual timer. You saw that we were able to keep time for this particular exercise because I set the timer for 1 minute. And of course, everything related to the agendas, blocking people's calendars, all of that still holds. Nothing new right there. You've already seen that I've got an agenda which I'm running through with you as part of this exercise. All right, so let's go and explore the next question, which is how do you make decisions? Sorry, somebody saying something?
Yeah, so there are a couple of folks who happen to drop off and now they're not able to get back in.
Okay, I can
I
can open up the room for a couple of minutes and
yeah, sure.
maybe they can join in, okay? I'll close the room in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. All right, so let's go to the next question. How do you make decisions and agree priorities? I'm going to put one more 1 minute timer and you can use the stickies right here. I'm going to summon everyone so you can see exactly which question we're looking at. And let's see what you have to say about how you agree priorities. Okay, so time's up right there. And I see there's a number of, Salim says there's an unscripted accident. A couple of people leaving the room and being unable to join is an interesting phenomenon of remote meetings. Yes, indeed, Salim. I think we have to take a call here. There's about 100 people in here, and we have to take a call on closing the room. But then, yeah, the script was that we'll keep the room locked, but we are having to go off script, which reminds me, I should be locking the room again. So let's lock the room. Okay, cool. So let's see. There are a bunch of ideas up there. There's voting, which is an idea. I see that very similar to polling, asking people to vote on ideas, summarizing, ensuring all stakeholders are on the same page, finding out some priority, writing notes on a shared screen, Moscow, which also is a voting prioritization technique. Based on planning and experience, have a brainstorming session to have input from other people. Okay, customer priority. Right. So you folks have the general idea. That's what we do in the real world. And yes, all of the frameworks that you'll use for prioritization, whether it's Moscow or whether it's something else, you can continue to use them, and you'll see us use a bunch of frameworks here as well. But in the virtual world, one of the superpowers you would like to have up your sleeve is the ability to vote. And hopefully you'll get an experience of how this might work on an online tool today, right? By the way, if you had to vote and if you're looking at me on Zoom, then you will see on my top left, I have this facilitation superpower, which is to start a voting session. And if you're choosing a tool to help you facilitate online, choose a tool that allows you to vote, okay? All right, so let's move on to the last one, which is creating direction. And again, I'm hoping, oh no, you're not seeing the same thing as I'm seeing. So I'm going to summon everyone, You should be able to see what I'm seeing right now. And the question we're asking is, how do you keep people focused and direct their attention? What I mean is, in the real world, I would take people from one part of the room to another and show them different things. Are there other ways that you direct people's attention? I'd love to see them here, and then we'll talk about how you direct people's attention in an online space. And oh, I should put a timer. And just like that, time's up. So I see that you have a few ideas around how you can direct people's attention. So there's gamification, there is medium storyline, there are check-ins. What does anger mean? I have no idea what that means. Okay, cool. No screen rule. Yes, of course, those ground rules really help. Reward systems, pictures can help. Making the session engaging and interacting with people, calling out when we are off topic. Yeah, in fact, I've got a parking lot set up, which I'd like to show you. So just in case there are things that go off topic, we can discuss them if we have time, and we can put them in the parking lot. Check if people are following you. Yes, of course, those are great tips. Great stuff, folks. Keep adding. There are a couple of superpowers you would like to look at when you go out there, trying to find the tool that will help you facilitate online. Of course, all of the good things that you mentioned out there, having a quiz, checking if people are following you, using gamification, using cues, which are audio or visual, or having some sort of an interactive storyline. Yes, all of those are valid. Some of the other things that you might notice that I'm doing here is, for example, if I had to get your attention to this part of the mural, I've been using my superpower called Summon. And I can do that one more time, and I can have you look at exactly what I'm looking at. Now, of course, there are a few other tools that are out there. But one of the other things I can do is that I can call out that we've ended this activity successfully. You've made some great contributions, and I've been able to show you a few superpowers. So why not celebrate and celebrate with confetti? So, yeah, I think all of you got great suggestions out there. I'm going to move on in the interest of time and get your hands dirty with some facilitation and some discussion in a much smaller group, because I know we're 65 and 65 people can't possibly have a conversation together. So let's get into slightly smaller groups. But let's look at what is the challenge that we're going into, okay? So we'll get into multiple breakout rooms. You've got rooms using Navy call list, 10 of them. And by that logic, I think we should have about 6 to 7 people per room. That should make for a decent conversation. When you get into the room, there are a few things you would like to do, just so you go through the whole facilitation exercise. And I'll show you what your exercise looks like. So essentially, we've talked about some things that we do in the real world and how we might map that out in a virtual setting. Now, the question is, for this particular exercise is, what aspects of virtual facilitation might be even superior to being in person? And that's a big provocation I'm making, right? So we've already talked about some things that might map to a certain extent in the online world, but here we're talking about what might be even better. So that's what you need to think about. A couple of things that you would like to do is nominate a facilitator, right? As you see mentioned here. And then you will notice that each of your teams has a mural assigned to you. And there are multiple stages that we've set us up already for you to go through the whole discussion and decision-making process. And there is one bonus extra section as well, just in case you go through this at rapid speed. So at this point, I am going to set you into your breakout rooms. I don't see any, somebody's asking me to go slower. You're not going to have to listen to me, mate. So I'm going to take that into account. And the next time I speak, I will speak slower. And I'm going to open up all the rooms. Folks, you will be able to click the buttons on this main mural to go to the mural related to your room. If you look at the title bar of your breakout room, you will know which room you're in. And if not, somebody in your room, there should be one of my colleagues in there who will be able to direct you to which mural we are looking at. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to recreate these rooms. And yeah, we should be ready to go. I'll see you in 30 minutes. Yeah, I said I'm going to close the room. I'm going to pull everyone back, and everyone who finished early can feel better about themselves.
Mine was just voting, Sumeet. Everyone, we were voting.
We finished. We did finish. Completed. We also used the consolidation.
Yes,
I
we
was-
did the optional part as well. We have a consolidation.
I was eavesdropping on some of the rooms, you might have noticed. And I think Aaron was making a very important point that sometimes, we rush through things, and some things, if you take a little more time, they get internalized a lot better. And I really do agree with that observation that Aaron meant. I think in the context of this, what we're trying to give people is a bit of a survey of, what are the possibilities. And I completely understand that you will probably have a number of questions at this, but essentially, if we've done something to get you curious about the possibilities of online facilitation, I think I'd give myself a little pat on the back by the end of this evening, and I'll probably give myself a little drink as well. But thanks, everyone. I think I heard good discussions right there. So give me a thumbs up if you felt that went half okay. You still remember how to do that, right? Yeah, I see. I see a few of my friends saying that it went half okay. And I see some of the others as well saying that was good. Okay, cool. All right, so let's keep going in this whole thing. I know for a fact that you might not have got a full opportunity to explore all of the tools that are out there on this particular facilitation platform. But again, that wasn't the intent. The intent was to try and see how online facilitation may happen, given that you have had the time to prepare, to structure, and also then to give people the opportunity to discuss, go through an exercise of brainstorming, enhancing, convergence, and then prioritization, right? But let's do a little bit of reflection on this exercise. I'm sharing my screen at this point. I'm hoping everyone can see my screen. No, nobody can see my screen. So I'm going to share one more time. And let's get into this consolidation area. I'm going to summon everyone onto the main mural. And just in case you don't have it open, what I'll do is I'll copy it and I'll share the link with you in the chat. Okay. So let's take a minute just to put down our insights from the discussion. I think we were discussing where remote facilitation might actually have an X factor, why it might be in some ways superior to face-to-face facilitation. So I'm going to summon you to this area, and let's put 1 minute on the clock and try to put in what we felt were our insights from that discussion. Oh, somebody's added a massive sticky right there. I'm going to try and bring these back to human size, okay? Well done. Thanks. Okay, I see a number of stickies out there, and maybe Zenobia at some point can help me organize those. But let me see some of these which look interesting. So, ease of digitization, which is yes. I know that at ThoughtWorks we do these massive workshops with clients, discoveries, inceptions, and we're trying to uncover requirements. And oftentimes we have huge rooms, and they're just plastered with stickies and flip charts at the end of a week, couple of weeks, 4 weeks. And documentation is a huge nightmare. And I recently did a 4-week workshop with a client, and we were documenting in real time. I think that's one of those X factors with remote facilitation. I noticed some people said facilitators have power or something like that. You probably took it away. I don't know where it is. Okay. Don't see that. Oh, there you go. I see facilitator has good control. Yeah, so you probably noticed that I was able to bring you back into this discussion as I wanted. I very rudely keep summoning everyone. So you see exactly what I'm seeing. It's often difficult to get people's attention, right? And if you all have been a great audience, you've kept your mics muted, but oftentimes there are side discussions happening. And I think that's perfectly okay, because if people need to have a side discussion, let them have a side discussion, but at least it shouldn't disrupt other people, right? And so one of the good things with virtual facilitation is you can have that back channel chat, but that's still okay while the rest of the group keeps working on what they're working on. And I can use things like mute all, I can use things like nonverbal feedback, which you've now gotten some experience with, to keep the group on track. Yeah, effective illustration. I see increased productivity. I see environmental protection. Yes, of course, you're probably not flying a lot of people around the globe. So in that, there is environmental protection. I don't know if it eventually adds up, because, well, all of these people probably have their laptops and their dual screen setups. So does it eventually end up being more environmentally friendly? I don't know. We'll have to figure it out over time. Okay. I think preparation and familiarity with the tool makes it great. Okay, cool. All right. Let's go to the next one and think about something else. Let's think about the pluses of what went well with your group. What did your facilitator do to help your group along this journey? Because I think those are some of the key aspects that remain constant, regardless of whether you're in person or whether you're in an online environment. And hold your breath for things that could have been better, because that'll come later. But at this point, think about what your facilitator may have done that actually aided the whole decision-making process. And I'll put another minute on the clock. Cool. So I noticed that you said the facilitators in certain cases explained the process very well. I see that there. Asked for opinions, calling that out explicitly. Time boxing. I noticed that some people were using timers quite a bit. Created a safe space, resolved impediments. Following up on each step with clear instructions. Convergence of thoughts with voting. Yes. Voting has its pros and cons. You've got to understand that it's not necessarily a silver bullet to get to decisions, but at least it helps you filter out ideas, right? And then from that point on, once you've got a huge number of ideas, you've got them filtered down, you can discuss those ideas in a little more detail. Powers of Mural were very clearly described, collaborated, led the team, there was engagement, lots of ideas, guided the effective use of the platform, invited us to help consolidate. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's our job as facilitators. If you look at dictionary definition, what we're trying to do is make it easy for everyone, right? So if somebody helped make it easy, then they were probably doing the whole facilitation job there. Quick time checks and opinion polls, constantly directing us. Good work, Gayatri. Oh, great. Gayatri, you can give yourself a pat on the back. All right, thanks for all of those inputs about what your facilitator did well to help the journey. Now let's move to the deltas, and I will be the rude facilitator who summons everyone. And let's think about what was missing in the journey. Then we will spend a minute to talk about how you might be able to get around those aspects that were missing, okay? So let's put a minute on the clock and think about what was missing, what challenges you experienced. Okay, time's up. So let's see what you're putting in, and feel free to put things in. Chai breaks, we missed that. Yes, I think if I was to do this with the intent of getting everyone to be an excellent online facilitator, I would do this over probably a couple of days with a lot of chai breaks in. I noticed, yes, some people mentioned the knowledge on tools was missing. I think the few other times that we've done this, that's something that's always come up. That, one, the facilitators need to be absolutely aware of the tools, but B, you need to do that onboarding for people so that they become familiar with the tools and they can gradually warm up to the tools, right? In the real world, we are working with very ubiquitous tools like whiteboards, markers, stickies. Now, these tools can be sometimes new, and you've got to figure out the whole literacy around it. The chatter and the excitement, I noticed there was some stuff around non-verbal feedback, export content to work management tool and vice versa. I'll actually show you how you can do that. That may not be missing, actually. With too many attendees, it can go out of hand. That's correct. Tools can also constrain you. Was not able to complete on time. Yes, of course. I mean, there was a time constraint, and I understand that completely. Getting everyone to contribute, yes. And I think that's one of the things that is very easy to undermine. Yeah, Salim, by the way, I'll share the template with you folks. No worries. I'll send that in an email to everyone. One of the things that's easy to miss is that most groups that collaborate well have a great relationship. And a number of things that help build that relationship are pre-existing friendship, some sort of camaraderie, some sort of team bonding. You can't take that away from collaboration. The other thing that you can't take away from collaboration is the fact that, well, you can read my expressions. Now, at least you can see what my expressions are, and you can make some judgments about that. But there are many of you who don't have your cameras turned on at this point, and I have absolutely no idea of how you feel in this whole experience, right? And that's one of those things missing. I still don't know how to change that in an online environment. And if some of you have inputs around that, please let me know. I think the only way I've been able to get around that is to ensure that most people are turning on their cameras and have the safety to have children running around in their background if necessary. Today, I've actually locked up my children and said that they should be watching some sort of Disney movie. That's why you don't see them running around in my background, but at least in my teams, we tried to build the empathy. And I know, Aaron, you're trying to make a point there.
Yeah, I mean, something I've been trying to do, I mean, I'm not saying this works, maybe, is up front, I'm giving people the option to who's going to be able to be on video today and who's not. So it becomes their choice. And then I can create sort of, I don't want to make it sound like segregated, but sort of where I'm able to create a more engaged breakout environment and a less engaged. And I've found that sort of works. I haven't tried it in a big group, but I've tried it with small groups, and it actually has worked really well because people don't feel that weirdness between the two worlds, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, indeed. One of the things which we tried also was, having a very social setting to get to know each other. I was on a client with a retail client, with a retail firm, on a project with a retail firm a few weeks back. And we were first separated by 13 hours, right? The geographies that we were in. So culturally, we're very different as well. So we took one evening just to meet and greet between families. And we said, this is not about work. This is just to get to know each other. And one of the things it did was it helped us connect as people. And then on the back of that, all of the facilitation and the collaboration got a little better, even when the videos were turned off, because then I knew what, let's say, Gustavo was like as a person, right? So somehow when he was typing something, I had a sense and empathy around what he was like as a person. Okay. I noticed tools can also constrain you. Beware, having video off can result in a lack of connect, right? Time boxing without initial prep could be a constraint, right? Yeah, that's good. Those are good points. Chatter and excitement being missing, yes. So find a way to keep getting the chatter going. Things being too fast. Yes, this is fast by design, but again, think about the outcomes. Our outcomes here are to get you curious about virtual facilitation. If it was something else, then we would have chosen a different design, right? Thanks for making all of those points, folks. I think those are all really valuable. And at this point, I think it's time for us to start winding up with a few tips and tricks around, tool choices and selections. So I will walk you through a few different tips and tricks. And this is for you to understand that, just like you need whiteboards, stickies, markers in the real world context, you need some sort of a tool to facilitate in the online context. And if you had to go around shopping for tools, here are some capabilities that you would want to look for. So for example, one of the things that we look for is the ability to create frameworks. For example, you folks might know business model canvas as a framework, right? Now, when you put a canvas up on the wall, you don't want people to tamper with the business model canvas. You want them to move around their inputs. And so you need to have a way to lock your elements so that your framework stays intact. Now, you would have noticed that you can't change my framework because I've laid that out. And that's the framework for this particular workshop. So you've got to find a way to be able to do that. Choose a tool that gives you some opportunity to do that. The other thing is that when you lay out your tool, and I think most tools, whether it's Jamboard, Miro, Mural, Stormboard, they give you the ability to make your areas, your collaboration areas, slide size. And this is a bit of a shortcut to the documentation phase, right? Because if you're collaborating on a slide-sized area, you can very easily clean it up and then show somebody the output. But if it is some odd size, like a big, tall rectangle, then getting it into a slide is another bit of effort, right? And the other thing is a slide size usually fits full screen. So you're maximizing your real estate usage and people can see stickies and things like that you're putting on the screen a lot easier. Find a tool that allows you to do presentations. Like, for example, you notice that I'm using Mural both as a collaboration tool and as a presentation tool. And you'll be able to do this with a lot of tools. Jamboard allows it. You'll be able to do this with Miro as well. I know Miro has that feature. Mural has that feature. I don't know if Stormboard and Concept Board have them, but you can check them. But don't underestimate things like Office 365 or Google Slides. You can use those as collaboration tools as well, because multiple people can come in together and put their inputs at the same time. Outlines you see on, hey, Aaron, you're saying something?
Yeah, one thing I've discovered in the last 4 or 5 months, because I was not a fan for the first 2 years of it, is just how good Teams is now. It really sort of shocked me, to be honest, because it was so, to be blunt, clunky, for the first 2-3 years. And I sort of just, like put it out of my mind when anyone would sort of push me into it. But then, we adopted it in my company in a real way. And it's pretty good. I mean, you can do quite a bit with it. So,
on one of my clients, I was using, they weren't happy with Miro or Mural or any such tool. They were an Office 365 and Confluence shop. And we actually did an entire workshop just on Excel, PowerPoint, and Confluence. So the constraints actually unleash a lot of creativity. So don't be scared of the constraints that the tools
exactly.
Cool. So you've noticed that we've got an outline that helped us stay on track with this particular workshop. The value of an outline is that it tells your participants very transparently as to what is coming up. Now, of course, you notice that some parts of this outline were hidden because I didn't want you to get ahead of yourself. And in a training scenario, if you were doing training, that comes in very handy. If you wanted to reduce the cognitive load for your participants, that comes in handy there as well. So make sure you're using a tool that provides you outlines. You'll be able to do that on Jamboard. You'll be able to do that in Miro. You'll be able to do that in PowerPoint, many of these tools, okay? This is something that comes in with specialized collaboration tools, right? Wherein you can auto-arrange and save yourself the effort of dragging every single element by hand. This is where I think digital tools give you that X factor, right? Because if I had stickies on a wall, I would really have to move them by hand and organize them. Whereas with digital tools, you can organize them by color, you can put them into grids, and at least the cleanup job that a facilitator does, literally the janitorial job that a facilitator does, becomes significantly easy. Also organizing people. So there is I can throw you into breakout room. I can pull you out of the breakout room. So organizing people becomes easy as well. One thing that we couldn't demonstrate enough to you, but something that you might want to look for as an ability in your tools is how you can group them into areas so that you can create themes. People who are used to stickies and dot voting will realize that oftentimes you generate stickies that say the same thing. And then you need to group them together so that you create a theme, right? And then you vote on the specific themes. So you don't want people to go and vote on every sticky. Then it becomes a computational nightmare for you to figure out which theme overall got the most votes. But if you're able to organize them into areas, as you see in the screen here, then it gives you the ability to figure out where the votes went. Shortcuts, whatever tool you use, learn the shortcuts. Because if you are struggling with the tool, you're not going to give any confidence to other people who you're facilitating. So take some time. Most of these tools are significantly easy these days. But if you learn the shortcuts, you'll actually motor through them very quickly. Last but not the least, you want to be able to create templates so that you don't have to set things up again and again. For example, Salim asked me for this workshop template, which I'll very happily share with all of you. If you wanted to run a similar workshop to create awareness with your colleagues, you can do that and use the workshop template for yourselves, right? What did I do right there? I saved you the effort of recreating this workshop for yourself. Similarly, there are multiple activities that you do as part of a project team. You do stakeholder management, you do story brainstorming, you do business model canvases, value proposition canvases, things like that, right? You want to be able to do these again and again. You don't want to set up the framework each time. So having the ability to set up templates is one of those features that you want to look when you go tool shopping. And then the other thing is being able to at least export into a spreadsheet. Now, in this case, in Mural, you can export into spreadsheets quite easily if you just select a number of stickies and right-click and say copy as text, as you see in this screen. Try it out right now. You can go out into any of the stickies and you'll be able to copy it into any spreadsheet tool of your choice, whether it's Excel or Google Sheets or Office 365, right? And then you can add more information to it and pull it into a tool like Jira. That's invaluable for product managers, designers, business analysts who deal with a massive number of stickies at a time. look at least for that. Some tools like Miro and Mural are incredibly advanced because they have connectors to Jira and Pivotal Labs. So if you wanted to get it into your project management tool, you can do that as well. And I wanted to clarify this, and I've been saying this again and again. This is not about Mural, right? Today we use Mural because we needed some tool to, facilitate this whole thing. But the world's your oyster. Go pick a tool. And of course, there'll be constraints. Some superpowers will need workarounds to get. But if you think hard enough, you will find your superpower, right? Remember when we were talking about superpowers right at the beginning, this is the framework to look at. You're looking for structuring superpowers. You're looking for visualizing superpowers. You're looking for timekeeping superpowers, decision-making, and directing, right? Find a way that you can do that in whichever tool you choose. And last but not the least, if you wanted to learn about Mural, there are a bunch of links. I'm going to summon you in this Mural so you can see exactly what I'm seeing. And you can go click into any of these so that you learn how to use Mural more effectively, if that is what you like. And then if you pick another tool, you know what is the framework to use to pick another tool. We've got 5 minutes left for this workshop. I feel like this is a time to just celebrate. So I'm going to celebrate with some confetti. Thanks everyone for being a wonderful audience. But if there are questions, we can probably try and answer that now.
There was one question, Sumeet, that had come up during the discussion. So it was from Swapnil. He wanted to know and learn how to resolve a conflict in a remote meeting.
Right. Swapnil, I think resolving conflicts isn't significantly different from how you would resolve conflicts in a face-to-face environment. Some of the principles remain the same. What makes it difficult, and some of you can chip in here, is the fact that you don't have body language out there. But one of the things that actually makes it easy as well is you don't have body language out there. Because I know for myself, when I'm irritated, it shows on my face. So what I often do is take the body language out of the equation and make people's perspectives visible. So what you noticed here was visual facilitation, right? So let's say people have 2 points of view, all right? So put the points of view big and visible. Then let's break it down. All right, what are the pros and cons of your point of view? What are the pros and cons of this other point of view? And then figure out if you're able to get to some common ground across those. Because generally people are not fixed on positions. People are fixed on some outcomes they're trying to drive. If you're able to find common ground across the outcomes and make that visible and make that shared understanding clear, that's a good starting point to resolve conflict. And that's probably the shortest answer I could have given to that, unless somebody wants to add to it. All right.
Hey, hi, Sumeet. One thing I've been struggling with, right, is a very silly thing, how to multiple select cards in Mural.
How to multi-select cards. Let's
Yeah.
see that. So let's go into this. If you just pick your cursor and just go multi-select there. That's it.
Okay, somehow it's not coming for me in the Mural that was shared.
But I can catch up with you offline on that, Martin.
No issues, no, I'll just figure it out.
Yeah, no worries. Cool. Ganesh says shift and mouse drag. Maybe that might be a Windows versus Mac thing. I don't know. I don't think it should be a problem, but generally just shifting and dragging.
I tried all that, shift, control, shift. Nothing is working. It's irritating. So
Okay.
that's why I just asked.
Okay. All right. Let's try to figure that out offline.
Yeah, sure.
Siley asks, how many people is a good number for remote meetings? Look, Siley, I think some of it is down to the level of interaction that you're looking for. Now, in this case, I wasn't looking for incredibly deep interaction. With 65 people and right now 49, because people are starting to drop off, it's really difficult to have very deep interactions. So you've got to figure out what your pacing pattern is going to be. In this case, we were going at a very rapid pace, not a lot of verbal interaction, a lot of non-verbal interaction, and a lot of interaction on the board. Here, I could have probably even accommodated 100 odd. We kept the numbers low and I locked the room because Mural has its limitations on how many people it can have concurrently. But if I was to actually do this to help people build skills, then not only would I have it for a smaller group, probably 10 or 15 people, I would also spread it across over 5 to 6 hours, right? So the question is, what level of interaction are you looking for? You can always have large groups, but then your level of interaction will have to come down considerably.
Thank you so much. That helps a lot.
I'm glad. Folks, we're on our time right now. Thanks so much for attending. I don't want to hold you back on a Friday night. Aditya, you want to say something? Parting thoughts?
Hey, Sumeet, thanks. No, I was just going to add to your points to Sailee's question. I would also just say that, just look at your own comfort level as a facilitator as well. Don't commit to too many people in the beginning. That's just one point I just wanted to add. And
Soumya, your points?
Yeah, I'm just going to invite everyone to join on a Saturday morning as well. So yes, I just got in to do that.
Yeah, we start at 10 a.m. tomorrow.
yes, 10 a.m.
So those of us who are used to late breakfast, please do an early breakfast. And if you feel like coming in with a cup of coffee, do that. We're starting off with a very quick Petakucha, and then we get into multiple tracks.
All right. Just a quick thing. Sumeet, people are asking, send link for Saturday session. It's all available on the website. All the links are updated. So please join tomorrow as well. And unfortunately, we can't summon people from the bed. Sumeet, do you have a feature for that as well?
Well, just take the laptop to the bed and you'll be able to summon people to bed.
Cool.
Or maybe use the good old phone call. All right, folks, time to say goodbye. See you all
Thank you
tomorrow.
so much. Thank you. It was great.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Sumit.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sumit.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sumit.